I believe I am on mute. I'm sorry about that. Thank you. So essentially what I had said at the beginning was just a hello and welcome, and also to open up your Tola Data portal so that you can follow along with the exercises with me. But in any case, I'll forward through, and I'm here now on the first slide that we have here. It was just to recap our feature focus, to give you the tools and give you the insight on how to use the Tola Data platform by yourself. And I was just about to let you know how you can sign up to receive notifications of any new episodes coming up. So you can do that by heading towards the Tola Data website and signing up for our mailing list. Alternatively, if you use YouTube a lot, you can subscribe to our Tola Data YouTube channel, and you'll receive notifications and be alerted when another one is going to happen. So the next one in the pipeline for us is going to happen in 3 weeks. It's one on adding and disaggregating data manually. So this is going to be, useful for all the data entry users out there, so that you can learn how to correctly add data, disaggregate it, and label it for, transparency and accountability. So now let's move on to our presentation here. So we're talking about indicator plans today. And of course, maybe just to start off with, it might be useful for us just to provide a definition of what an indicator really means within the M&E sector. So I've pulled one of our definitions from our platform. And so we've said that indicators are specific markers that measure the achievement of inputs, outputs, outcomes, and impact of your projects. So each level of the results framework or your logic model has specific indicators assigned to them to measure the success of the implementation work. So if I'm to put this all into a nutshell, indicators are there as a metric, and they can help you measure the progress or any changes or the success of all of your different outcomes, outputs, goals, and this will allow you to see whether or not your approaches are helping the intervention. And so when you have all of these indicators and have them in a nice indicator plan, this will then allow you to track how your interventions and approaches are contributing towards your intended outcomes and goals. So this, of course, is highly useful for you as a project manager to be able to keep on top of how these interventions are going and make necessary changes if they're not going your way. So now let's see, where does the area in which we're talking about fit within the whole Tola Data application? So I'm aware that this is actually quite small, but I'll just maybe briefly describe verbally where this is and where it's located. So if you can see here, this section is located just beneath this heading that says indicators. So if you're joining along and hoping to follow me with the activities today, go to your account and go to the indicator section, and you should automatically be brought to the indicator list page. And so today we're dealing with the elements of, setting up your indicator plan, creating indicators, both contributing and aggregated, and also adding details. So that is where it fits in the overall framework of the platform. Now, next, what are the benefits of using an indicator plan, especially on Tola Data? I have a few here, of course, but there are plenty more. But firstly, one of the biggest benefits is having a clear and organized view of your indicators. Now, when you have many different indicators, it can be quite overwhelming to have so much information and being able to get or pick out the right bits of info that you need, maybe for a donor, maybe for your project. But with Tola Data, there's a lot of visuals, there's a lot of nice colors you can use to organize this and have it set up in a way that you can quickly glean a lot of information all at once. So we have really nice features such as having labels to be able to mark your KPIs. You can have ways of marking the status of indicators when it's collected. And what this enables you to do is to very quickly go onto the platform, search through the indicators that you need very quickly, and pick out the relevant info and be able to get on with your day. And this benefit feeds into the next one here, which is that it provides real-time information of the progress of your intervention. So when anyone updates these indicators, the system automatically will update it across all of the different areas of the platform, and this includes the indicator plan. So what this means is that when you need to make some more informed decisions, maybe more informed data-driven decisions, you can go to this indicator section, you can have a look at the indicator plan, and you can glean again this information in real time to give you more accurate, more up-to-date and data-driven based decisions. Nextly, this indicator plan demonstrates how your indicators contribute towards your goals. Now, my lovely colleague Anya had previously shown you how to set up a nice result framework, and this includes all the different components of your logic model, and your intended goals, objectives, outcomes, and outputs. And today we're going to be learning how we can link those indicators with these predefined objectives or goals, etc. And then with that, you can see how does the indicator contribute towards this intended approach or intervention? Is something not going well? Do we need to pivot or adapt the model that we have? So this is quite a useful tool to be able to follow in real time. And finally, we have the fact that it allows you to see a comprehensive overview of your impact. Of course, as a project manager, this is essential. You need to be able to understand how does your project look as a whole. And of course, on Tola Data, and I'm sure with your projects as well, all these indicators are linked with one another. They might be aggregated. They might be linked to several different elements of your plan. And it's important to really have a grip of how everything is ticking along, how everything's interconnected. And this will allow you to make an impactful and articulated explanation to your donors, and you can feel in control and on top of your work. Now, what are we covering today? So we're going to be looking into how to set up your indicators, all the different types, including aggregated indicators, and how to include the information that's necessary on that indicator list view. And then secondly, I'm going to be showing you a few tips and tricks that I have gotten along the way from inputting a lot of data onto different clients' platforms. So with that, I'm going to bring us now over to the Tola Data platform. And there we're going to be starting with the demo portion. So now what you should be seeing is the Tola Data platform. I am currently within the indicator section here. So if you've logged in just now, head over to the navigation panel on the left-hand side and go towards the indicator section here. Now, automatically, you'll be brought to the indicators tab there. And below, you might see nothing, but if you were following along with Anya in the last episode, you may have put together a results framework. And if that's the case, you might see a few of these nice different colors of these result framework elements. And we're going to be using these as well today to help organize and just make our indicator section very clear and very readable. So to start off with, I'm going to be showing you how to set up a regular indicator. Now to do this, all you need to do is now look for this green button asking you if you want to add a new indicator. And this is on the right-hand side, just here. So give that a click. Once that's done, you'll have a pop-up that will ask you to input an indicator name. So this project is all to do with engaging a community in governance and advocacy. So let's say a sample indicator for this might be number of people trained in governance policy, let's say. And let's be maybe more specific, let's say in Europe first. So now that you've input your indicator name, you're going to be asked to select an indicator format. And if you use the drop-down, you'll see that you have three different options. We have numeric, percentage, and qualitative. So numeric is oftentimes, when you want to count the individual, maybe attendance, maybe items, you name it. Percentage is when you want a proportion, a ratio, a rate, those kind of things. That's when you want it to be a percentage format. And then qualitative is when you want to maybe link some report that you have, maybe link some pictures. So this gives you the qualitative information surrounding the work that you're doing. So in this instance, since I'm counting the number of people trained, I'm going to head up to numeric and select that. Once selected, you'll see that additional drop-down cells appear. The next one that we'll see is the desired direction of progress. You have two options here, and the reason you have two options is because this determines whether you want to see this information, or pardon me, the values to go increase or whether you want it to decrease. Now, since this indicator is to do with, wanting to train people, I imagine you want this to increase, as I do. But if it's the case that you're measuring an indicator and it's to do with maybe the rate of infant mortality, that's an instance in which you'd want that to be decreasing. So let's select this. Then down below, we have our life of program target. So this is our long-term target. What is the result you want to achieve at the end of this program? So let's say we want to train 140,000 in Europe. And then in the baseline here, you can put in a previously achieved number before this project started, so that you know the baseline. Let's pretend I didn't run any of these trainings beforehand, so we'll leave this blank. And then down below, you'll see that there is a tick box to ask whether you want this to be an aggregated indicator. In this instance, I'll say no, because I want to input data into this indicator, but we will be going through the aggregated indicator in just a moment. So once you're happy, select Save. And there your indicator has been created. Now there's not much information here. You get an idea, of course, of the name, of the format, and of the target, but maybe we want to now include some information here on the collection frequency. So in order for us to add additional information to this indicator, we're just going to simply select the name. Now, once this is done, you'll be brought to the indicator detail section. And this is what appears on the indicator list level. So, of course, you can modify the name if you'd like. You can change the format to percentage. You could even assign a result framework element to it. Let's do one for example, ICOM1. And additionally here, you can select the data collection frequency. So how often is data on this indicator going to be collected? So let's say for this, I'll say monthly. You can also decide whether or not this is a key performance indicator. If it's a critical indicator that needs to be followed for maybe donor reasons, you can select yes. Now over here, we have the indicator number. This can be used to organize indicators by number, of course, or sometimes I actually like to use it for different purposes, such as maybe writing down whether if this is, a specific donor required indicator, or whether it's just an internal indicator that we like to use. So I input, I think I have it here, donor required. This will appear on the list, and then it's a useful bit of info for me to understand how to, use this indicator. Now down below, you'll see there's additional opportunities here to input a description. And this can be useful for just entering a bit more contextual information about this indicator, why there's data being collected for it, to give anyone who's working on it an idea of the reasons behind it. Then under the notes section, this is often a place where people are going to maybe write down a history of changes to do with this indicator, maybe any changes you've made to the name potentially, or methods of collecting the data. People have used it for, writing down maybe the limitations of this data. So, when you're making the decisions, you can be aware that maybe it's not able to answer everything for you, for example. And then down below, under here, you can put in the source of the information. So where are you extracting the info? So let's say, for example, for this indicator, we're getting it from attendance sheet. And let's say the reason why we want to use it is to figure out the number of people that are attending the training. Then using the drop-down, you can select how often you're going to be reporting on this indicator. So let's say quarterly. And essentially, a lot of these different cells are used just for reference, for implementing a standard to help spread best practice, but they're not mandatory. So don't feel worried if you don't have all of the different elements for all of these things. It is just there if you need it. Now, very importantly, once you have inputted this information, make sure to click Save to make sure that this is logged onto the system. So once you're happy, we can now go back to the indicator list and see what that looks like. So now, as you can see, there's some additional info added here. You can see the donor required is now highlighted in black. So it's it pops out for me. I can see that this is a donor required indicator. I can see that it's a KPI. I can see how often the data needs to be collected, etc. So a lot of different things you can use to have this very clearly laid out. Now, for the next indicator I'll be showing you, this is going to be an aggregated indicator. And once more, we're going to head over to this green button and we're going to select Add New Indicator. And here again, we're going to input the name. So let's say number of people trained worldwide in governance policy. Once more, we'll click numeric. I'm going quite quick because we've covered this already. Let's say our life of program target is 1 million. An additional O, I think. And now, importantly, this time is when you're going to select aggregated indicator, because we want this indicator to combine the actuals of different indicators to form our whole. So we've made an indicator that's going to measure the number of people trained in Europe, but maybe we're going to have another one based in Asia, in the Americas, and we want to count the total number of people trained. So with this aggregated indicator, we're going to be able to pick from these different indicators and have this contribute towards the whole. So select this checkbox, click Save, and you'll see that will be redirected here to the Contributing Indicators tab. And this is where you're going to be linking these indicators to the aggregated indicator. So now to do this, head up now towards the Add Indicators, and you'll be given a drop down here of the indicator to select and what formula you wish to use. So as we're counting the number of people trained, we're going to leave it on sum. But note, if you want to do other calculations, such as maybe the average, subtraction, multiplication, division, some people use this for financial purposes as well, those are actually available to you too. Now down below, we can select which project we want to take this indicator from. You can decide to do this within one project, or in fact to take an indicator from a different project. But note, to do this, the information from the project you wish to take the indicator from needs to be shared with the project you're currently working on. We'll be going over aggregated indicators in future, so you'll see how this works. But for the moment, we're just going to be using indicators within this project. So we'll select this current project, and we're going to select now the number of people trained in Europe. And you'll see here that there's additional weights and adjustments that can be used. This can be very useful if you estimate or if you predict that there's going to be some overlap, maybe some double counting. You can adjust the weighting for it so that it's a bit more accurate if you're having difficulty getting the exact number. So once you're happy with that, click Save. And now this has been linked. Now, as you can see, from this view, you can get an idea of the indicators, of course, that are linked, the format, their targets, from which project it's been taken from, and when the project begins. When I add data to this indicator, you'll see now, I'm going a bit ahead. We'll be doing some data input in a few weeks' time, so maybe disregard this for the moment. Let's say we've collected data that suggests that over 125,000 have attended or trainings. So if we go back to our list, you'll see that the actuals that are here, you can see the amount that it contributes towards the target, how percentage achieved, but you can also see now how this contributes to the overall amount. So, we want 1 million trained for the overall worldwide amount, and this contributes 12.5. So now this has been a brief overview of how to set up a regular indicator, an aggregated indicator, how to label them, insert some info. We're now going to be moving on to the fun part, and that is just to be able to bulk import it all in one go. And this is a hugely useful feature for me and my other colleagues when we're setting up some log frames for a client. And so this helpful tip is just located right next to the Add New Indicator button. And if you can see here, you'll see that there is this kind of like foldery looking button that you can select. And once selected, you'll have a pop-up that appears. And here it will allow you to either download the template. So you can do that by clicking here. You can learn more about how to bulk import these indicators correctly, but you'll see now how I do it. And then once you're ready, which we will do in a moment, we're going to choose the file that we have filled out, and we're going to upload it to the platform. So once you've downloaded your file, you can select it on your system. I'm going to be sharing now with you my screen, so you might have just lost the Tola Data platform, but I'm actually going to be sharing my computer screen with you now. So I hope now you can see my Tola Data Indicator bulk import template here. So once you open it, you can see that there is a number of different columns that you're going to be using to import the indicators that you want to in bulk. There are a few here highlighted in yellow, and these inform you that these are mandatory columns to fill out. So unless these are filled out, you won't be actually able to import it onto the platform. So this includes, of course, the indicator name and the format. So this is generally what it looks like when it's empty. But now I want to give you an idea of what this looks like when it's a bit more filled out. If we head over to a previously filled out one, it should look something a little bit like this. So this has a few of my indicators already filled out. I have my format included, so that is whether this indicator is numeric or is it percentage. I have my target values inputted here, so this is just my long-term targets. And now say if I was working with a client, or if I was trying to upload a lot of indicators very quickly, I'm going to use a few tips and tricks. These are just Excel tricks, which a few of you may know already. So for example, if I wanted to put the numbers next to my indicators so I could organize them on the platform, I'd input my number here under number. I'll put down 1, 2, and if I now want the whole list to be numbered, I'm going to head towards this button and slide it down. And now all my indicators have their correct numbers aligned. Now over here, I'm going to say that my indicators are non-aggregated. So I'm going to click no using this drop down. And now to speed up the process, I'm going to quickly drag this so that I have now quickly filled that section out. And the same goes for expected direction. I want all these values to increase, so I'm going to drag them down like so. And this just cuts down the work, makes it super quick, and now all of this information is filled out and ready to be imported. So once you're happy with everything that you've included, you can click Save, and here you can import your indicators in bulk. So we're now going to reselect that button. We're going to choose our file, and I'm going to select the previously filled out indicator template, open it, and import it. And then you should see these indicators listed here. Now, when you upload a lot of indicators at once, it can be a little bit finicky, or when you're trying to, fiddly rather, when you're trying to kind of arrange them now under the result framework headings. So one of the tips I have is actually to use this heading, this result framework heading, to drag and bring it maybe to the center of all of these result framework elements, so that you can drag upwards and downwards as well. So this makes it a lot more easier when you need to upload and organize a lot of indicators at once. So now you've uploaded all of your different indicators. Now, if you haven't filled out any of the information, such as the description or maybe the notes, and you're kind of clicking into indicators in and out, this might be taking a bit of time. So another trick that I often use if I have to fill out information across different indicators is, instead of clicking into the indicator, I'll actually right-click it and I'll open it in a new tab. And I'll do this for a few, so that if I'm copying and pasting a certain item, so let's say in our first indicator here, I have a description I'm using for a lot of them. I'll copy and paste this, and I'll either flick using my cursor to the next indicator, add it, save it, or on your system, I use a Mac, and if I press Control Option and using an arrow, I can flick quickly through the different tabs. And this makes it a lot quicker to fill out the indicators very quickly all at once. So now that is a sum up of all of my handy tips and tricks on how to quickly upload all of this information. Now we're going to move on to the question portion, and that's going to be taking place over on Mentimeter. So if you have asked your questions, or if you have any to pose, feel free to head over to menti.com and to input your question, and I'll be more than happy to answer it for you. So over here, you should be able to see the instructions on how to get to menti.com. You just enter in the code, and there you're going to be asked to input a question. So I believe we have our first question, so I'm just going to share my screen. Okay, perfect. We got our first question here, and it is, can I copy and paste indicators? So great question. And the answer is yes. And this is if you're using the bulk import template. So you can easily, if you have your log frame, you can have maybe a split screen if you have a Mac. Maybe you can do this on Windows as well. But you can easily copy and paste columns that include your indicators, and then paste them very easily into that bulk import template to allow for a speedy importation of all of this information all at once. So thank you for that question. Do you offer this training to individual organizations? Absolutely. We provide training that can specify and be, we can show you exactly how to import all this information super quickly. You can check out our pricing on our website on toledata.com. If you look at pricing, you can see that for online specific training, we can provide this customized for you, no problem. I think we're over time, but I'll leave a few seconds just to check that there's no further questions. And I might just add, if you're joining us, you're watching back, you can feel free to actually just send a question to support@toledata.com, and I can answer it for you then. So don't worry if you've just missed this live. You can, of course, send us an email, no problem. And I think that might be all. Thank you so much for joining or for watching. And I hope this has been useful for you in setting up your indicator plans. And we hope to be speaking with you soon. So bye bye now and have a lovely day.